Hello, so today we are going to draw this picture of the first day of school. So I want you to think about the first day you came to school, first day of kindergarten, and what happened. Maybe some of you rode the bus and you want to draw you riding the bus, or maybe you want to draw yourself sitting on the carpet in front of the smart board, or maybe you want to draw yourself in the lunchroom, or meeting your teacher for the first time, or saying goodbye to your parents as you went to kindergarten for the first day. It's up to you. But you get to decide what part of the first day that you want to draw. And once you draw your design, then you're going to decide what art media you want to use. You can use oil pastel, or you can use liquid tempera or tempera cake to paint in your picture. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with a white piece of paper. And you need to decide, are you going to turn your paper this way to draw your picture, or are you going to turn it this way? So this is vertical, tall ways, or horizontal, wide ways. I'm going to do horizontal. And I want to include a picture of myself, and I'm going to draw the school behind me. So let's see, the first day of school, I'm going to start with a circle for the head, and then a rectangle for the body. And remember that rectangle should touch the bottom of the circle. I'm going to be standing up, so I'm going to draw 2 lines for my legs and some feet. And I'm going to be holding my lunchbox. So I'm going to draw part of my hand and then my lunchbox. Fingers. And I have stripes on my lunchbox, so I'm going to draw some stripes. And then my other hand is just going to be down by my side. So a little oval, thumb, and some fingers. And then I need my face. Short little U for the nose. Ellipse shapes for the eyes. So I need an ellipse. And then a circle inside the ellipse and a black dot. Same on this side. And a big smile because I was so happy. And then I need to draw my hair. So now I want to draw Becky David, my school. So I'm going to draw a building, and there are stairs going up to the door, the front door. So I'm going to draw some stairs. And then I'm going to draw the door and the window on the door. Okay, and then there are windows to look out. Okay, and then the sidewalk goes this way, and it goes this way. And there's a tree here, so I'm going to draw the top of the tree and then the trunk of the tree. And I'll erase the part of the building that's behind the tree. Alright, so there is the first day of school, me in front of Becky David with my lunchbox. And then I can add some straps for my backpack here. Can't see my backpack because it's behind my back, but you can see the straps on the front. Okay, so now we're going to use a marker to trace the outline so that we can see your drawing after you paint it or use oil pastel. Remember, with a marker, if you go really fast, it'll be like a gray line, but if you slow down and you go slowly, it'll stay a nice dark black line. Okay, now remember, the reason we do the black line is so that when you paint or use oil pastel and you color over your drawing, we can still see your drawing underneath. If it was just in pencil, the paint and the oil pastel would completely cover up your pencil and we wouldn't be able to see what you drew unless you painted perfectly or used the oil pastel perfectly. So now you're going to erase your pencil lines that are poking out. So you can see I kind of made some adjustments to my windows because they weren't all even when I drew them. So when I went over it with black marker, I made sure that they were closer to being even. So now I need to erase those pencil lines that are showing. And remember, when you use an eraser, you got to push hard and use short strokes. So you're not doing this real long strokes because that's not going to erase good enough. You have to push hard. You might even need to stand up when you do this and push hard, short strokes back and forth over the top of the area that you want to erase. Okay, So that looks much better with all my pencil lines erased. Before you start painting, the first thing I want you to do is use the skin colored crayons to color in your hands and your face. So pick a color that matches your skin and color in your face, because we don't have a paint color that matches your skin color, and I don't want you to paint yourself red or pink or purple or yellow, because you're not that color. So use crayon for your face and crayon for your hands that matches your skin color. Then after that, you can use paint or oil pastel for anything else after that. And I did that same for my finished example here, crayon, and here. It's crayon on the face, and then everything else is the same. So now I need to decide what am I going to use for my art media to color this in. So do I want to use oil pastel, where I can color it neatly, I can mix or smear the colors a little bit if I need to. It'll be bright and vibrant and velvety. Do I want to use tempera cake, where I have to swirl around a lot to get a dark heavy color like this, or if I used a lot more water it would be lighter color? Or do I want to use liquid tempera, which you can really see your paintbrush strokes and see a lot of that texture, but it's more bright colors and you don't have to swirl around as much to get those bright colors. So you get to decide which one you want to use. Now remember, with the tempera cake, you're going to need to clean the yellow off. So you need a stiff bristle brush. You need to get it wet and then get the yellow wet a little bit, just a little bit, swirl around, mix, clean off your paintbrush, swirl around a little bit more, clean your paintbrush off. And you got to keep going back and forth just a little bit at a time, real quick, to get that dirt and that other color off there. This looks like there's brown or red on this yellow, a lot of it. So I've got to keep doing this back and forth, pushing down with that paintbrush to try and get that dirty color up off the yellow. And I'm getting most of it. It's getting smaller. But I have to keep getting fresh water on my paintbrush to clean that off. And only one person at the table is going to need to do that, or one person using this tray is going to need to do that, because once it's clean for everybody, as long as somebody doesn't mix it up. So now my yellow is nice and bright. So now I have to decide, am I going to use a lot of water and just paint a real light color, or am I going to swirl around a lot and get a dark heavy color? And on my finished example here, I did a dark heavy color for everything. So I swirled and swirled and swirled and swirled. Liquid tempera, remember that you need to always have a dry paintbrush. So if your paintbrush is wet like mine is right now, you have to dry it off first before you use the liquid tempera. And it's a bright color already, so you don't have to worry about that. So you have to dry your paintbrush off, and then you just dip and paint the areas that you want to paint. Or if you want to use oil pastel, you're going to color that in with oil pastel. So just let me quickly show you each drawing media, and then you can decide which one you want to use. So let's say if I'm going to use oil pastel, I could color a heavy. I think when you use oil pastel, coloring heavy is the best, because then it doesn't look like crayon, it looks like oil pastel. So you just color in like you're using a crayon, only you're pressing hard. I do want you to have manila paper under your work, so when you do the edges of your paper you don't get oil pastel or paint on the table. So see, when I pick this up, you can see there's a little oil pastel there from coloring the edges. And then I can choose different color. And with the oil pastel, you can get the color in there pretty neatly and stay within the lines pretty easily. And there really isn't any problems. It's just you get a little oil pastel in your hands. Now if we use the tempera cakes and a stiff bristle brush, if you use a lot of water, then you kind of get a light color. And since Becky David is school and it's a red brick, I'm painting it red. But with all that water in my paintbrush, it's pretty pink. So maybe I want to go back and swirl a lot more, paint it darker red. And that's what I can do with tempera cakes. I can go back and add more color on top to make that darker. And I can fix that if I don't like how light it is. But I might want to use a light blue for the sky. And that might be a great place to use a lot of water. And when you paint, if you paint with the wide part of the paintbrush, you get a wide mark, or you could turn your paintbrush and keep it up on its tiptoes and get a skinnier line. And so you can try the different ways to hold your paintbrush. It in. Now, when you change colors, you've got to rinse your paintbrush off and clean it off. And remember, I don't want you to tap your paintbrush on the side. Once you clean it off, just pull it across the edge if you think it's got too much water. But I want some water in my paintbrush because I'm going to show you how you can color the sky with a light blue. Lots of water. And you can get a lighter blue that kind of looks like the sky. Or if you want a darker blue, then just put more paint on there and paint dark blue there. Okay. And the last media that you could choose to use is the liquid tempera. And I'm going to use the brown. My paintbrush is dry. I'm going to use the brown for the door. If I keep my paintbrush up on its tiptoes, do a skinny line and get in these small areas. And then when I have larger areas, I can press down with my paintbrush to fill that in. But quicker. Keep having to dip to get more paint on my paintbrush after I painted onto my paper. Okay, rinse my paintbrush off when I'm changing colors. It's very important. Don't want to ruin the paint for anybody else. Dry my paintbrush off. That's another thing that's important. I don't want a lot of water in my paintbrush. I can paint. These drawing medias, they're not like pencils, so if you make a mistake, you can't erase. So you just have to take a deep breath and keep going and just try to not make that mistake again. And those are examples on how to use each of the media. You're going to choose one media to use. So you're either going to use the tempera cake, you're going to use the liquid tempera, or you're going to use the oil pastel. Good job, kindergarten.